The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of Tuesday evening news. Tuesday evening
It gets me all the time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Psychedelic Reporters. This Tuesday, the 10th of February, episode 193. Well, anyways, here on NOK Network, the Video News podcast focus on psychedelic medicine being reported in a mainstream media. Shout out to the guys in Dead Ringer from Kirkland Lake, Ontario for the awesome intro track, originally recorded by the Booty Blues with some customized changes for our show. I'm joined by my amazing joint host, Tara Simpson, along with the one and only Buffalo Alvarius, who has chosen all of our stories for us. Thank you. Hello, Tara.
Well, hello, hobbies, and hello, everyone. I'd like to take a minute to introduce Buffalo. He is our Sonoran desert toad, or Colorado mud toad. Did you know he emits DMT from his skin? And while that sounds like great fun, park rangers would like to remind everyone, please don't lick the toads. Don't do it.
So many different ways. I mean, they got trials now. You're going to start being able to get the shit through psych treatments. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Let's not, go traipsing through forests and licking toads and not being safe and sustainable. Much better ways to get your DMT.
So, speaking about that, CBS News.com in our first article, Colorado lawmakers consider bill to fast-track availability of pharmaceutical-grade psychedelics. And this is by Sean Boyd.
Yeah, so this is an interesting article. The Food and Drug Administration could approve the first prescription psychedelic therapy as early as this year. And state lawmakers are scrambling to ensure Coloradians will be able to access it immediately. The legislature passed a law in 2022 that allows psilocybin to be prescribed in Colorado once it's cleared by the FDA and the Drug Enforcement Administration. But the law applies only to psilocybin. Lawmakers would still need to bring a bill to reschedule any other psychedelic approved, which takes time. So they introduced a bill, which is SB 26-031, to fast track all Schedule 1 drugs approval for pharmaceutical use. Luke Schrager is among those supporting the bill. A combat veteran and former law enforcement officer, he says psychedelics changed his life. I was so stuck in this state of hopelessness. He says for years he suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and anxiety, and tried every treatment available. It was when my ex-wife filed for divorce is when I was like, this is my rock bottom. I started looking for alternative healing methods, Schreiger recalled. Coloradians had just decriminalized psilocybin. Schreiger said that after one treatment, he was able to process the trauma he had buried for years. I found a way to find peace, he said. He wants others to know peace too, which is why he's urging state lawmakers to pass the bill, which would align state and federal drug schedules so any Schedule 1 drug cleared by the FDA and DEA would receive automatic clearance in Colorado. Wow.
Yeah, there are 8 clinical trials underway. The trials have been incredibly promised for PTSD, anxiety, and depression, says State Senator Daphne Michelson Jeanette, sponsor of the bill. She says the FDA could approve a drug with the active ingredient in LSD as early as next year. What we're looking at is one dose medication. You get treatment one time for a disease that may have been debilitating you your whole life and walk out and live a typical life, she explained. Help can't come soon enough, with veterans 17 a day ending their lives to end the suffering. Tiger made a vow to leave no one behind, and he says he's keeping it. If we're going to send kids to war to fight and die, then we need to take care of them when they come back. Under the bill, a psychedelic cleared by the FDA and DEA would regulate any other prescription in Colorado. Would regulate like any other prescription. Some of the drugs and trials now require administration in a clinical setting. Unlike magic mushrooms used in Colorado healing centers, pharmaceutical grade psychedelics would synthetically be produced in a lab and have a very precise dosage. The bill passed its first committee unanimously.
That's very cool. So it sounds like they're making some waves down there.
It is, and I enjoy that because so once they do this, other states, I mean, they were what, the second state to embrace medical, first state to embrace recreational. So I mean, at first, I think they did it out of money, but now, I mean, I think they're realizing that environmental healing and natural healings are safe,
right, and effective. Right. That's the big thing. I mean, you can take all the pharmaceutical pills the doctor gives you and yet still be in the same state as if not worse, when you could go to this treatment center and get some psilocybin given to you and have some talk therapy and potentially change your life forever for the good in one treatment, maybe a couple. Versus a lifetime of taking the same pill, going to the same therapist, and still getting nowhere. I don't know. I think I like it. And I think Colorado has been leading the path for this, and good on them. Other states need to take notice. Other countries need to take notice. And let's step this game up. Let's help some people.
Speaking of that, exactly just that, comes out of the next article, lucid.news, legislation, industry, and the future of psilocybin for PTSD. And this is written by Elena Jasper.
Yeah, one of the most widely known psychedelic compounds in the world, psilocybin, has been investigated in thousands of clinical trials focused mostly on treatment for depression and anxiety. That changed last month with the FDA announcement that it would approve a new proposal to study psilocybin-assisted therapy for post-traumatic stress disorder. Well, I don't think that's new. I think they've been doing just that already. On January 7th of 2026, the FDA accepted Compass Pathways investigational new drug application for their COMP360 compound with a PTSD indication. Compass Pathway has been investigating COMP360, a synthetic psilocybin formulation, as a possible therapy for treatment-resistant depression. This recent approval, Compass Pathway will now expand their COMP360 drug to a PTSD indication that begin late stage trials. The limited treatment options and the long absence of innovation in PTSD demands bold action. Dr. Guy Goodwin, Chief Medical Officer at Compass Pathway, said, at Compass Pathway, we are prioritizing a PTSD program that could bring hope to millions of patients and their families. We are pleased that the FDA has accepted our IND application for COMP360 in PTSD, enabling the initiation of a large stage trial. This IND application is in partnership with Radial Health, an organization working to build a national network of clinics to provide access to FDA approved treatments for mental health conditions. The company works with a variety of medical device and pharmaceutical companies to understand how these treatments are working in a clinical trial setting and optimize the delivery of these interventions to consumers post-approval. That's really cool.
It is. Their view is that psychiatry, I screwed that up. Psychiatry is undergoing this profound shift towards far more rapid acting treatments that include neuromodulation devices and rapid acting medications. John Capitatelaccio, co-founder and CEO at Radial Health, said, as we think about COMP360 and the broader psychedelic medicine pipeline, we have a tremendous amount of interventions coming down. Our perspective is that in order to ensure those treatments are available to as broad a number of consumers as safely and effectively as possible, we have to spend meaningful time up front. This includes understanding how the expected to work in outpatient setting, such as that we can build the right specific tooling and care protocols around each of these treatments. This Compass Pathway sponsored trial is the only one of the few clinical trials investigating a version of psilocybin for PTSD. The company's investigation will be a multi-center randomized double-blind controlled study with an open-label extension to assess the efficacy, safety, and tolerability of COMP360 in participants with PTSD. Because this and that and that and this and this and that. Just kidding. I had to add that. The Compass Pathway trials differ from other psychedelic clinical trials in that they do not have focus on psychological support or psychedelic assisted therapy. There are other studies assessing psilocybin as possible treatment for PTSD, including one that was recently completed at Johns Hopkins University. This study, with the clicky linky, was also a randomized controlled trial assessing the efficacy and the safety of 2 doses of psilocybin for PTSD with psychological support. The results so far are very good, and it appears safe, and Dr. Sandeep Nayak, assistant professor at Johns Hopkins University, in our trial, there has not been a clear added utility of the second dose. I suspect, and this is the basis for a new study, we are setting up that a single dose of psilocybin will be more effective than a single dose of MDMA. Chew on that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The legal landscape of psilocybin decriminalization as the federal government moves psilocybin research forward. Some state initiatives are also seeking to decriminalize the use of psilocybin mushrooms for those with post-traumatic stress disorder. Earlier last year in Michigan, House Bill 4686 was introduced by District 14 Rep. Mike McFall, specifically to decriminalize psilocybin for those with post-traumatic stress disorder diagnosis. This bill, along with many other local initiatives, have been pushing Michigan lawmakers to engage with advocates on decriminalization. One such organization is the Decriminalize Psilocybin Michigan organization, working to promote public education and policy changes through coalition building and creating educational materials at all levels. Currently, DPMI is working with experts across the state and the state legislature to provide information on psilocybin that will hopefully inform lawmakers to pass decriminalization measures for more than just a PTSD diagnosis. One thing that unites all communities across all spectrums in the United States and even the broader global community is we all have trauma. Michelle Donaldson, co-director of DPMI, said a bill like what Representative McFall put out, while it is limited to post-traumatic stress disorder, it's a foot in the door. If we can prove concepts and dispel fears and stigmas around these medicines, then we can hopefully open up broader access. In December last year, lawmakers in Massachusetts voted to advance House Bill 2532, a bill establishing a framework for psilocybin therapy, alongside a new draft of House Bill 2506, a measure designed to legalize the use of psilocybin specifically for veterans, law enforcement officers, and qualifying patients. House Bill 2506 was drafted by Graham Moore and Jamie Murray of the advocacy group Mass Healing in collaboration with Representative Stephen Owens, Democrat. This group bill establishes both a medical model for psilocybin therapy and a pathway for decriminalization. House Bill 2506 uses language that is largely missing from other bills, developed by collaborating with researchers to create a set of standards that can be adapted as more evidence is available. Uniquely, in terms of legislation across the country, Moore said, it's House Bill 2506, the only legislation that in statute defines qualifying conditions using objective scientific standards. I worked with a psychiatrist, doctors, and pharmacists to do this intelligently, and we came up with some disqualifying conditions that the need for diagnosis and more. Okay, so they're looking at like a little more in-depth diagnosing and maybe preventing some people from accessing it as well.
I muted myself so I could cough. Yeah, no, that's what I got out of it. That's pretty cool. New Jersey is following suit, taking a standardized approach to psilocybin new legislation, but instead focusing on the access. Senator Bill 2283 creates a pilot program strictly based on medicalization. The Psilocybin Behavioral Health Access and Services Act will work with hospital systems and allow psilocybin treatments that strictly follow FDA guidelines and will report outcomes to the lawmakers during a 2-year period. This bill is likely for alignment with medical products such as synthesized psilocybin rather than the natural mushroom products. This is probably what they were talking about. Excuse me, about insurance getting paying for it, like last
Yeah.
week when we read. But why is psilocybin, or why psilocybin? While there is a lack of empirical evidence supporting psilocybin assisted therapy for PTSD, the data for psilocybin and other indications such as depression, anxiety is promising. Since 2018, psilocybin has been granted breakthrough therapy designation for treatment-resistant depression, which is TERD or TRD, specifically related to Comp 360. There are many reasons for legislative momentum behind psilocybin therapies, including the natural origins of the fungi, the data supporting other mental health indications, and possibly targeted information either from patient advocates, drug companies, or lobbyists. The psychedelic field has largely focused on MDMA for treatment PTSD, largely in veteran populations. This is surprisingly unsurprising, given that according to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, 29% of veterans will experience PTSD in their lifetime compared to just 6% of the general population. There has been debate over whether the data supports MDMA's assisted therapy for PTSD, and FDA denied application for MDA assisted therapy from Lykos Therapeutics in 2024. Nevertheless, established clinical trials involving MDMA-assisted therapy for PTSD, supported for years by the MAPS nonprofit organization, established investigations into psychedelics as possible therapies for this condition. Politicians are not aware of the difference between various psychedelics, said Dr. Bara Yazar-Klatsky, founder and CEO at Yazar Lab, and a former chief scientific officer for Profit Maps Public Benefit Corporation, which carried the studies of MDMA assisted therapy forward. They are the recipients of the targeted information from drug companies and patient advocates. However, scientists are not often involved in those conversations, so they are not able to provide an assessment of the quality of evidence supporting the claims. Yazar Klensky has first-hand experience in attempting to be in a drug to market. She has also criticized the way drug companies communicate indications and scientific research. Drug companies are communicating with potential use pre-approval and not always following the rules of scientific exchange, she explained. This includes the requirement to limit potentially promotional statements that lack balance between benefit risk and can overstate the status of the science in favor of raising money in order to actually do the science.
Yeah. On the other hand, many have criticized the U.S. drug policies for impeding progress on neurotherapeutic advancements. Psychedelics, including psilocybin, are classified Schedule 1, meaning they have no FDA approval, medicinal value, and high potential for abuse. Yet these substances are increasingly difficult to research under provisions of the Controlled Substances Act. This act requires researchers to obtain specific registration to study these substances and comes with stringent regulations once the registration is obtained. You cannot say something that has no medical indication if you can't test the medical indication because of the barriers to research access. Victoria Sventovic, an attorney at Ruddock Law Group, who focuses on psychedelic and medicine cannabis, or medicinal cannabis, said it gets massively easier to get data when things are legal and have a pathway to access. I don't think scientific community can have a complete answer to these questions in an environment of prohibition that we're living in. Is research catching up? Anecdotal reports have a powerful impact on legislative decisions. Those who have used these compounds have described psychedelic experiences as the most impactful and meaningful experiences of their lives. The question remains, why hasn't research caught up? The anecdotal report from people should be an indicator we should be researching this. Sindivik explained, we need to start thinking about how we can get that data and provide evidence of whether or not these anecdotal stories are supported. Additionally, it's incredibly challenging to be faced with the data we do have and the powerful anecdote from the person who is also a voter. Instead of criticizing an imperfect bill because the science isn't there, scientists should be using it as an opportunity to find research gaps. Additional barriers impacting the ability of scientific research to play catch up could be the stigma surrounding Schedule I substances and mental health. Many people, including some veterans, may not feel comfortable participating in clinical trials and would rather self-medicate without a public record of participation. For others, however, these trials are the only way they can get the help they need, which can increase participation. We have launched a new study exclusively for veterans called PANVET, MDMA plus psilocybin for post-traumatic stress disorder in veterans, and it has so far been our fastest enrolling clinical trial ever, Dr. Nayak said. There is quite a lot of anecdote and observational research on other psychedelics, particularly ayahuasca, but I agree there's little data on psilocybin for post-traumatic stress disorder. Many people, including many participants who come to us, assume that it's been very well studied and there's a lot of good evidence for it, but it's not true. And the expectations surrounding these psychedelic assisted treatments continue to arise in conversations surrounding data interpretation. With so much discussion about psilocybin legislation, breakthrough therapies, and mental health treatments, many organizations are working to address this in our own day-to-day work. We're about to start polling our decriminalized municipalities and counties for metrics of what is happening in hospital systems, the emergency rooms, instances where arrests are being made, said Donaldson of DPMI. If we had these statistics right now, we could really lend to the argument people are trying to get across or what they are trying to portray with psychedelics. The more knowledge that we collect, the more statistics that we have, it just bolsters the legitimacy of decriminalization and access. And I would agree. I mean, more data, more statistics, more proof.
Oh, yeah. One thing we need to implement is a harm calculus. Svitnavik said how harmful it is really for a person with PTSD to have a guided psilocybin experience. If it's not that harmful, the data for that indication not being there shouldn't be that big of a deal. We need to take into consideration that the fact that people are deeply moved to advocate for this and haven't experienced harm, while state legislation for access to psychedelics continues to gain momentum across the U.S. New studies investigating psilocybin for PTSD could prove the data needed for support to access to a range of therapies. Oops, I closed the last one, not the one I needed to close. Okay. But yeah, that was it, right?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. All right. So what time is it? Oh, it is about that time. Okay, let's I'm stalling. Okay, so it's medication time.
That's right, folks. It's time to pay some bills. So stay tuned for a word from some of our amazing sponsors, and then we will return with more articles Bufo has chosen making mainstream media news.
Back in 4 minutes and 20 seconds here on the
Hey, hi, my name is John Mark, aka Sublimator Warrior, and I would like to welcome you to Smoke Signal in Tyendinaga.
One dab make your whole dome drip sweat. One dab make the homies all dip set.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Ooey, ooey, gooey, that's a sticky dab. Might just have to put this one on Instagram.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Hold it in, feel it in your wrist.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Check us out in Tyendinaga. 55 Highway 49 in Tyendinaga. It's on the res, and we're open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week.
Advertising space available at NOK. Contact us for a rate sheet at knocknetwork.com. Send us a message on our social media platforms or email us at info@noknetwork.com. Dirty Dave, award-winning cultivator for over 4 decades. Dirty Dave, prized genetics fueled by advanced nutrients, original OG organics. Dirty Dave, award-winning products available at these fine establishments. Ask your shop to carry Dirty Dave. Contact us at dirtiesdoggies@gmail.com.
Hey, dudes and dudettes. enjoy the show, man.
And we're back from our medication session live here on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network. And I just want to take a quick minute to give a shout out to Dirty Dave, who unfortunately has had a heart attack, and he is in hospital, but he is being well cared for and hopefully will be on the mend soon. So we are sending him all the healing vibes and love that we can.
Oh, yeah. I hope he's all right. And everything. Tell him, hey, Tim, tell him if he needs a puppet therapy assisted puppet that we go and we would sit there and watch him. So yes, I didn't say we'd be good at it. And we'd have another set of session or stories coming at you from the realm of psychedelic medicine. So let's get at it. Oh, okay, right. So that would bring us to, Australia. Our next article is the smh.com from Australia. In this states, it jumped on me. Australian researchers believe what wattle may contain the next gen of psychedelics. And this is written by Sarah Berry.
Yeah, in a lab in Western Sydney, 3 piles of dirt are laid out on aluminum foil. Within these piles of plant matter, researchers hope to discover unknown psychedelic compounds inside Australia's floral emblem, wattle, and treat intractable mental health conditions. It has been long known that there are psychedelic properties within acacia shrub and trees. In fact, some academics argue that the biblical story from the burning bush from which God appears to Moses was a hallucination brought on by DMT in the blazing acacia shrub. There are more than 100 species of acacia in Australia, and the majority of which are native, including the golden wattle. Most of them have been tested, says Dr. Mitchell Lowe from NICM Health Research Institute at Western Sydney University. We know the morphology of the species, but the chemical composition is still unknown. The next generation of psychedelic drugs. Lowe is leading the study, testing 855 species of Australian wattle for its psychedelic properties, including DMT and other compounds that may be used for cutting-edge psychiatric therapies. The study is expected to take 5 years. DMT has the real mental health applications in terms of psychedelic assisted therapies, but there are very likely other psychedelics in there, and we think we found some. In some of the wattle samples Lowe has tested so far, the DMT is more potent than the Amazonian plants traditionally associated with the compound and used to make ayahuasca through roughly translated vine of the soul. Each compound is likely to have distinct effects and affect individuals differently depending on their genetics. The more researchers understand about these compounds and how they work, the more possibilities it opens up for tailoring therapies for those with anxiety, depression, and addiction. While psilocybin, the psychedelic compound found in certain mushrooms, might work for some people with particular conditions, the compound found in wattle or other plants may be more effective for others. We are looking as broadly as possible, Lowe says. That's part of the reason we're looking deeply into acacia to see if there's other compounds which could be the next generation psychedelic drugs. With more than 2.2 million Australians are living with long-term mental illness, antidepressants are helpful for some, but not for all people. And I would agree, not everyone's responding well to pharmaceutical options.
Oh, yeah. There's an urgent need for new options. And last year, Lowe collaborated with researchers from the University of Melbourne and the CSIRO to develop a CSIRO is what it says, to develop a DMT-based formulation derived from the wattle in a first of its kind study published in Scientific Reports in November. The formulation was then tested on 9 healthy participants to assess its safety and psychoactive effect in controlled environment. Participants reported effects that extended prior published psilocybin and LSD results, said lead author Dr. Daniels Perkins, the head of psychedelics research and the therapeutics unit at the University of Melbourne. Importantly, we also found strong associations between the intensity of that acute experience and persisting psychological benefit, including improved well-being and positive behavior changes. The next step is a randomized controlled trial involving participants with major depressive disorder and alcohol use disorder. Much more quality of life. It's still early days for psychedelic assisted therapy, says Melbourne-based psychiatrist Dr. Nigel Strauss in 2022. Following the release of Michael Pollan's popular Netflix, How to Change Your Mind. The potential of psychedelics to relieve human suffering became mainstream. Then in 2023, the Therapeutic Guides Administration, TGA, authorized psychiatrists like Strauss to start prescribing MDMA for post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, psilocybin for treatment, pain-resistant depression. I'm very particular about who it is prescribed to, Strauss says. He is very optimistic about the potential of these therapies when prescribed appropriately. At their best, they can have profound effects. There's much more quality of life. The option of alternative treatments, including in the form of DMT, is appealing, particularly given that it's faster acting than psilocybin, which makes it more cost effective. Currently, psychedelic-assisted therapy, which includes psilocybin dosing sessions plus preparatory and integration therapy, is expensive, costing up to $25,000 in Australia. Woo! And only subsidized by the select private health insurance funds and the Department of Veteran Affairs for Veterans. Wow! I can't get over that price. Who's got 25 grand for their head?
Oh my God, that's absolutely disgusting when we know exactly how much, psilocybin costs on the street to get, even like a super high dose. I mean, you can get an ounce, that's like 28 grams for, anywhere between $100 to $300, depending on who you're dealing with, right? That's more than enough to treat probably 20 veterans at this point. So why does it cost that? Well, your facilities, doctor time, I'm sure they have to run tests, they have to have supervision, but still, that's not accessible to just anyone. And this is the problem.
Your general workers. Yep, you'll have to have your general staff, your just watchers, your like trip sitters.
Insurance, I'm sure, security, all that sort of stuff costs money.
Paperwork, dude.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate because this is such a cheap medication that people could be doing this in a much lower cost environment. So hopefully they fix some of that. If you're helping them or curing them in 1 or 2 sessions, that's still a lot less than a lifetime of therapy. And I would agree with that. Counters low, noting that the average mental injury claim is now about $288,542. And that's mental health services costs about $13.2 billion a year. And so the research continues. And the work that Mitchell and his team are doing at NICM remains genuinely important, says Perkins. Australian flora contains a remarkably diversity of bioactive compounds that are largely unexplored. The fact that Australian Acedia species contain DMT is well established, and there's likely much more to discover. I mean, the cost is high compared to what we would think, but I mean, if these patients are on like 5, 6, 7 antidepressant, antipsychotics, sleep stuff, nerve stuff, right? And then still going for like talk therapy and getting nowhere, I suppose in the grand scheme of things, yes, their treatment is going to be much more higher in cost than what this treatment is going to cost, but it's still not going to be covered for everyone. So how do we help everyone get better, not just the people with money?
Well, amen. Amen to that. Amen. Is that so? Speaking of all these things, that brings us to our next article where psychedelics are already going on for the healing, and it's CPR.org. And it states, we toured 3 psychedelic healing centers in Colorado, and here's what we saw. And this is off of the Colorado Public Radio, and written by Kyra DeMare.
Yeah, so that's a pretty nice front lobby in that picture there, eh?
That looks nice. That says healing all over it.
That says relaxation to me. Right in the middle of downtown Aspen, tucked away in a far corner, is a space for a newly legalized form of treatment, one where people struggling with depression or addiction, with past trauma or anxiety, or even with a desire for spiritual or mental growth, can begin psilocybin-assisted therapy. Currently, Colorado has approved 34 state-licensed healing centers with more than a dozen applications pending, where psilocybin can be administered to adults 21 years or older by professional facilitators. That includes Aspen's Sanctum, a healing center inside a yoga studio. There's something really beautiful about simply getting to cultivate the space for an inner-directed journey, said Skippy Mazzero, the administrator and facilitator of psychedelic medicine for Sanctum. Putting 100% of your trust and belief in the client, seeing them reciprocate that, and then just watching the magic happen. Sanctum began offering psilocybin-assisted therapy in June. This space is adorned with barnwood, Moroccan lanterns, and gold mirrors, and it's very non-clinical. It holds the energy it has had for the last 7 years, Mazzaro said, just walking down the stairs from Aspen into our little subterranean cove where we have total isolation from all the other businesses. The building has small rooms with a bed for individual sessions and a more spacious yoga studio with a customizable altar for group work. This space is beautiful and large, Mazzaro told CPR News during a tour last year. There's downlighting, candles, wood floors, and brick back wall, a large altar, a lot of really precious artifacts from all over the world. We'll bring a bed out and put it near the ground and then build a large semicircle altar there with a lot of different plush and fabric and pelts, so that there's a lot of different textures and things that people can move and stretch as they need. Mazero first participated in psychedelic assisted therapy in Costa Rica years ago, before there was legal access in the US. I was really struggling with chronic and acute anxiety, which was sort of a downstream from addiction, which was a downstream from, he said. My intention was just to understand the root of my anxiety. I experienced a lot of things over that week, really incredible things, but none of them were, here's your answer, go forward. What I got was a set of awareness and practices. He helped bring Sanctum to Aspen, the city's first such healing center, and is the first to administer psilocybin on the Western Slope, with the goal of helping people find the same awareness and practices. The thing that I appreciate most about the administration ceremony in particular is the entirety of about creating the environment. I'm not doing much as a facilitator. I'm holding space, he said. Wow.
Yeah, so Coloradans approved creating healing centers in 2022 when voters passed a ballot measure that paved the way to state licenses and decriminalize the personal cultivation, the possession, consumption, and sharing of psychedelic mushrooms. But the psychedelic assisted therapy avenue comes with due rules. I almost said jewels. Maisril is one of the 15 members appointed by Governor Jared Polis to serve in the National Medicine Advisory Board that recommends regulations to state agencies for cannabis and psilocybin, including healing centers. Those involve requirements like psilocybin limits, guidelines for the physical space, safety protocols, and three-step process for administering psilocybin. The system allows for two types of licensure for healing centers as well as licenses for growers and regulators. Aspen has a standard license, meaning the center can hold more than 750 milligrams of psilocybin. Other therapists of wellness business might opt for micro healing centers license, which limits the amount of psilocybin allowed on site to below 750 milligrams, like ETHC Hospitality Center in Golden. We're big lovers of all things mushrooms in context with people. ETC owner and culinary mushroom expert Eric Vaughn told a tour group visiting from the MAP Psychedelic Science Conference in downtown Denver. His company has worked with typical kitchen mushrooms as well as adaptogenic non-psychedelic mushrooms like reishi and lion's mane, popular in the wellness world. Their company's name is a sort of pun on mushrooms, etc., etc. That's why we're so thrilled now for what we're on the verge of here. Vaughn said, I'm ready. ETC. Oh, I guess it's not etc. It actually is a thing. ETC received a license for micro healing center this fall after getting off a wait list for more than 100 people. According to the Colorado Department of Revenue Natural Medicine Division website, this type of license is a potentially more cost-effective option compared to the standard license, and it's geared towards centers aiming to provide a limited number of sessions each week or year. The typical medical dosage of psilocybin varies per person depending on body type, weight, preference, and other factors. We're at a very significant moment here in Colorado. We have the great pleasure, the great responsibility of the following: the work of what has been done in Oregon, the folks that have set up the first program that allowed us to set up this second program. Vaughn said, we have a chance here to build on their successes and show the safety of efficacy in psilocybin mushroom therapy in broad daylight. ETC Hospitality has one big journey room with yoga mats, couches, and a pull-out bed. It features light, earth tone decorations, left slightly bare for facilitators to bring their own decorations or items. Framed on the wall is the flight plan for participation as they start their therapy. Many embark on a deep and transcendental experience. It reads, you have feelings of loss of yourself, experience a sensational of rebirth or even death. You may experience a feeling that you have ceased to exist as an individual and now are connected with the world and the universe. Wow, that actually sounds cool. Now I want to go check.
The state's first standard license center up the road from Union Station in downtown Denver on the third floor of a nondescript building and through a maze-style hallway is a standard-looking yet well-decorated therapist's office. The waiting room features 2 chairs, pamphlets, and a front desk. But just around the corner of the waiting area, behind locked and heavily monitored door, are multiple capsules of psilocybin stored and waiting for patients. There are also zero-gravity chairs. Your organs are in a weightless state, so there's nothing pulling on you, Elizabeth Cook, the co-founder and CEO of the Center Origin, said. They're meant to mimic the womb. It doesn't ignite that fight or flight mode because you're really in this very relaxed state. The Center Origin is the first standard licensed operating healing center in the state. It has 4 rooms available for psychedelic therapy sessions. All are designed with different earthy tones and levels of natural light. The rooms have all the functions of a standard therapy office, as well as a standard therapy office, but cozier with big reclining chairs, as well as cabinets filled with pillows, eye masks, and even barf bags. That's probably handy. People can be very nervous if it's their first journey and not know what to expect, Cook said. Before Cook received the license from the Colorado Department of Revenue's Natural Medicine Division, she opened as a holistic wellness center in 2023, focused on breathwork, meditation, and yoga. Practices still available to people going through their psychedelic journey. And that's apparent when you see the yoga room decorated with a big tree and circular art. She remodeled the space to fit the new regulations, including a large, highly monitored storage facility with multiple security cameras where the psilocybin and confidential client paperwork are kept. It was already a therapist's office, Cook said, so it was set up really perfectly for what I was looking for. I renovated it and put in new flooring and painted and kind of gave it a bit of a facelift. And there's some pictures of the therapy areas, and that's actually not too shabby. Looks kind of cozy.
Yeah, each room is designed differently for individuals, couples, and groups. It depends on what they're looking for. The space is what they want to be in, and also the size of group that's coming. After the medicine starts to kick in, they can either stay in on a futon or they can go up. And we can help transfer them into the zero gravity chair. A what? A zero gravity chair? For most people and patients, micro healing centers and standard healing centers might not look very different aside from the size or the personal style. The main difference has to do with the storage and security on the back end. Additionally, micro healing centers are more limited in the numbers of sessions they can provide due to the amount of psilocybin on site. Like Maisarel, Cook said she sees the potential and the responsibility of these therapies. Psychedelics are a journey, she said. People will take it 10 years and talk therapy to get the point of one journey. The 3-step journey, which is Dr. Jana Lornax, a licensed clinical psychologist with ETC, said the work has changed both her life and her clients' lives. I've been curious and wanted to learn and signed up 10 months long training. Unsure I would bring psychedelics into my own group practice, Lomax said. That training was transformative in ways and what I could have never imagined. It redefined the way that I thought about wellness and illness and healing and brokenness. At any of these centers, a person's therapy sessions begin way before consume any psilocybin. It starts with a pre-screening required by the state. This is where a center looks at what medicine someone is already taking, any prior health concerns, family health history, as well as any accommodations that might need or boundaries they want set. The screening is meant to protect people who might not be eligible for psychedelic medicines, such as a patient with family history of schizophrenia, or if psilocybin-assisted therapy is not the proper treatment for the patient. While Lomax's work focuses on guiding the therapy and the trick, a medical consultant is also on hand. If anyone in a medically complex or has some medicines that may interact with the psilocybin journey, we shall be able to consult them with us. Which she gives me great comfort that I'm not having to practice outside of my scope, that I'm not having to make recommendations about things I don't know. After screening, the patients begin with the preparation process with the facilitator. This time can vary more per person. Here, the facilitator and patient figure out the intentions of the journey and what to do in certain scenarios, and a plan for getting home. Patients cannot drive to or from a healing center during the administration process. No driving drugs are you. Both ETC Hospitality and the Center of Origin said their baseline is 2 preparation sessions per person before any administration of psilocybin. Once the preparation is complete, the patient will arrive at the facility for the administration session. This is when the patient will actually take the drug. A medicine handler will bring psilocybin, and the patient will consume this medicine and begin their psychedelic journey under the supervision of a facilitator. We need effects here. Like, it's Cam, you need like one of those woo or go on boom. Oh, okay.
The medicine handler and the facilitator are 2 different people by design to add an extra layer of security for both the person taking the medicine and the person facilitating the journey. Group sessions will be conducted in larger rooms with people spread out. The number of people in those sessions can vary, with the goal of creating solidarity and community. Most group sessions are also a bit cheaper for each person individually. While each center offers different features during the actual trip, the through line is the comfort of the patients. Each space offers some place to lie, whether that be a bed, a yoga mat, or a futon, or a chair that mimics the womb. This is also where the eye masks come into play, assisting patients in turning their focus inward. There's the option of music and yoga in each center, as well as quiet areas. Some facilitators and centers offer guidance, like ETC's flight plan. If you experienced a sensation of dying, melting, dissolving, exploding, or going crazy, go ahead, experience that experience. An ETC facilitator reads out loud. Remember that the death and transcendence of your ego or everyday self is always followed by a rebirth and the return to the normative world of space and time. We introduced something that we've created called a personal errate protocol. Miss Rose said of Sanctum, Arete is a concept of Aristotle's popularized as a core Aristotelian value. It's your highest embodied potential and service to self, others, sometimes something greater than yourself. We have a method that we use to help people investigate who they really are at the core and how to bring that out into the world, how to navigate it when the world is challenging or pushing back, and how they can systematize that in a way to reduce stress, reduce overwhelm, and truly be the person that they were meant to be. Once the medicine has worn off, the next step is integration. That state requires follow-up sessions with patients that focus on what came up, such as memories, past traumas, realizations, or something else during their psychedelic journey. And then they discuss how any lessons or insights can be integrated into their daily life. That process can take as long as deemed necessary. These can also occur at the healing center, similar to your normal therapy session. The real work starts with integration after the journey, Cook said. It's taking what you've learned on that journey and working with somebody who understands that and what you're going through in order to connect the dots through integration. And then you can hopefully move forward without reliance on some of the pharmacological stuff. Every person CPR spoke with emphasized the importance of integration work after the psilocybin trip is complete. When we come into a medicine journey, we come into it with all our life experiences today. Those don't get magically erased, Misro said. They are part of you. The medicine experience can be adding very significant new thing. He used a metaphor, he was told, when going through his first psychedelic therapy experience. If I come in, my life is like a glass of water, then the medicine experience might be a glass of red liquid. Without integration, maybe you can fully mix those two. With integration, maybe you can fully mix those two glasses, Mizero said. The degree to which people do integrative work is not always, but generally proportional to translating the experience within the medicine into a long-term behavior change and life improvement. Wow.
Yeah, so the spaces are nice and expensive. Renovations and rules often mean cost. That was something Cook anticipated from her first experience in a different emerging industry, the marijuana. Fortunately, from my time in cannabis, I have done enough build out that I could talk to contractors, electricians, and make sure that I could keep the cost down, because otherwise I'm very hard for people that never been in this space before. Cook said it could cost up to $25,000. That was a real deterrent for people. The state hopes micro healing centers will help lower costs due to smaller holding spaces and security. The Center of Origin and ETC Hospitality are offering services for $3,500, which includes all three phases of the therapy. Sanctum's prices varies depending on the service and extras, like a painting that can a patient's journey or custom mala beads. The steep price tag has many advocates pushing forward, improving accessibility. Mesro is looking to work with local nonprofits in Aspen in a way to provide therapy for people in the community, like broke puppets who otherwise can't afford it, and otherwise free integration indefinitely through community programming. We're trying to have the most affordable group care. The state members of our service industry are those who live down the rifle commute 3 hours a day and have the ability to access, Mesro said, whether who live down whether you're just dealing with the stress or overwhelm or depression or severe conditions, these are very different symptoms of the core condition of disconnection. Disconnection from self, others, and your environment. Meanwhile, Cook and her team at the Center Origin planning to launch a microdosing and harvesting course in the future. Some people don't want to be a big journey. They want a small journey. This helps you because you are in a small regimen, and it changes consciousness. It really has a huge impact. The plan is to provide people a syringe of mushrooms and instructions to allow patients to grow their own mushrooms in 4 to 6 weeks. A patient's mushrooms would be ready to harvest. And this is Colorado, where they can do it legally. So while healing centers are just starting at the state, Vaughn from ETC Hospitality said they have a collective responsibility to ensure this type of therapy can continue to grow. Our job is to show safety and efficacy of what can be done in a space like this. We have a responsibility to not only track the adverse outcomes, which is super important, but also profoundly positive outcomes. All the healing and the growth and the personal transportation that takes place in settings like this, we're going to see profoundly positive results on a micro and macro level. Well, it was a good freaking meet. They went to all 3 places.
Yeah, they did. And that was a cool sound effect. Thank you. Yeah, that's cool that they did a tour. And I like that, it's not like a hospital sterile, like psychiatrist's office. Because I don't think that set and setting would be the right set and setting for this type of medicine.
Oh, I know. So yesterday when we celebrated my buddy's birthday, and I myself microdosed. I incriminate myself. Well, I'm a mushroom, and it's imaginary. So I imaginary ate a microdose and kayaked it. I'm like floating down, and it was 0.24 of a tidal wave. Wait, no, not a tidal wave. A natural super strength. So the African one that we read on the show. So we're little more powerful than the penis envy. The 2.24 reminds me of like if I would take a half a dose or a gram of like an Amazonian. So it was a little more intense. It was right at that, like I should be seeing shit. I'm not seeing shit. I'm a little too high. I shouldn't be doing shit. I want to do shit. I think I'm going to throw up. Oh my God, I'm having fun dose, So it was like right at that.
Just right on that cusp. I've done that. Like microdoses generally won't give you any of those like psychedelic effects, but that really depends on the strain. And I absolutely believe that because I microdose on the regular, and a microdose for me is your standard 0.2 of a gram of dried mushrooms. And I have done that with like some strains and been like, whoa. Okay, this isn't a microdose, right? So potency can play a role for sure. Every strain's different. Just because it's a 0.2 doesn't mean it's a 0.2 of the strain you took last time. And you may, you're not going to like completely trip balls necessarily, but you're definitely going to maybe have some effects that you're not anticipating. So always, always, always play with your strains first.
Stay safe and microdose safely. Yeah. So, oh shit, look at the time. Hey, thank you for joining us here on Psychedelic Reporters on NLK Network and for tuning in to our video podcast on NLK Network's Rumble and YouTube pages, as well as our social media sites.
That's right, folks. We really hope you've enjoyed your update today of mainstream coverage of psychedelic medicine advancements from around the globe.
Many thanks to Kim Cooper, who sat in the back, got high, helped us produce our beautiful show. to our sponsors, and to my joint host, Tara Simpson, and to Bluefa Alberius, and for choosing the stories, and to you, our listeners, for joining each week on Psychedelic Tuesday. Let's hear from Dead Ringer again from Kirkland Lake on our way out. Dog, stop yelling, I'm almost done.
Looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of